And I think we are live.
We are live on a Monday.
Happy Monday. Hey, everyone. This is Yassine and Mitch, and I'm excited to go live on our first episode of the Field Notes from the CFESA Region 2 meeting series. And joining me today, my buddy Mitch Galutera, our business transformation consultant. Mitch, how are you doing today, brother?
Hey, Sid, I am doing wonderful today for a Monday, and I've been excited and looking forward to today over the weekend, which sounds weird because normally you're like, oh no, Monday, I don't want to get up and anything. But I was excited because of this whole show and sharing a lot of the insight from the
Mm,
CFESA Region 2 meetings. So thank you for having
absolutely.
me on the show.
No, man, it's a pleasure. So one of the things I was telling Lynn today, I was like, you know the difference between people who achieve and people who don't achieve, even though I don't feel like so. It's Monday today here in the Philippines, and
Yep.
it's the Heroes
National Heroes Day.
Natural Heroes Day, and
Happy
it's
National Heroes Day. Yeah. So.
right, and everyone is off, right? The whole team here is off, and I'm like, I'm kind of in vacation mode, but I do have this live, even though emotionally I'm like, I really want to stay in vacation mode, but then it's really the discipline
Yeah,
to do the things that you need to do anyway, regardless of how you feel about it, is what separates achievers from people who don't achieve. People who, high achievers are the ones who do things that they have to do regardless of how they feel about it.
totally agree.
And they let discipline take over rather than their emotional state. So I took a shower, did a couple of push-ups, tried to pump up myself a little bit, and here we are. So I'm excited to do this. But before we dive in, Mitch, can you give us a little bit of a background about your experience and what you bring to the table for the folks who are tuning in and hearing about you for the first time?
Sure. And again, thank you for having me over. And, I appreciate having this show as a platform to introduce myself. So, my name is Mitch Galutera. I have 20 years of experience in the BPO and IT outsourcing space.
Mm,
So, I began my career as an agent on the phone, servicing Dell technical support, and then moved my way up to operations, following that track. And then
mm,
um, kind of went in a diagonal pattern to go into customer success
mm,
and account operations, which I totally fell in love with. So I
mm,
started straddling between both operations and sales, and then eventually moved, full stream into sales. And I feel that the operational experience, coming from a Six Sigma black belt background and COPC,
Wada!
dojo, really helped me, speak the language with our
Mm,
potential customers. And, that's where, and again, following you on here on FXL and all of your podcasts and streams is like the jobs to be done are the top
mm,
priority. And what better way to know what the jobs to be done are than from an operator on the front line who
absolutely.
had to do the job with and make our customers happy and always had to like think like the customer so that we could be able to fulfill what's important and what's priority prioritization for them. So yeah, so here I am, working business transformation consultant because we're all about transforming and building solutions for our customer base. I'm currently, as you can see, even at 9 o'clock, the sun is out. So I'm not in the Philippines. I'm in Louisville, in Kentucky. So
Yes,
over
sir.
here in the United States. So where I also focus on our North American customer base.
Amazing. And I'm so blessed and honored, brother, to have you on the team because you
So,
bring wealth of experience. Um, and you're on the front line of capitalism, working with a lot of our partners and clients in bringing this operational perspective and helping them grow and make the most out of their journey with us. So really grateful for your contribution. So you recently attended the CFESA Region 2 meeting at Bardstown in Chicago. How
yeah.
did it go? And that was last week, correct?
That
Or
was on
2 weeks ago?
Thursday the 17th. So almost
Okay, yeah.
last week. So about 10 days ago, give or take,
Okay.
right? So
How did it go? How was
well,
it?
It was amazing. So it was my first time to attend the CFESA regional meetings. For all of you out there, CFESA, the Commercial Food Equipment Service Association,
Yeah,
uh,
shout out to Nick Cribb and
and,
everyone there making it happen, and Josh Zolan and
the
for
culture and to
yes,
yeah,
yes.
and,
Thank you for bringing us all together. It's so critical during these times for all of us to be connected in the industry and pushing it forward.
absolutely, yeah. And so first and foremost, the people,
Mm,
being in the room with like industry heavyweights,
mm,
captains of industry was a humbling experience and quite an
mm,
honor to get myself in there. I mean, I just talked about all the accomplishments and everything, but when you're in there, it's like a humbling experience, and you're like, wow, these people like really are like have wealth of knowledge and
mm,
information, experts in their field. Shout out to people like Paul Morrison and Amy Campbell and
mm,
Rusty Park and Wayne Stoutner. They were all like part of the panel and
mm,
everything that we went through, and we're going to talk about it. They also invited a couple of guests to talk about
mm,
sustainability and cybersecurity and
mm.
all of that. So the people and the knowledge that I gained from that was just phenomenal.
Yep.
Secondly, having the bonus opportunity, and I posted this on my LinkedIn page a couple of days ago, to see the factory floor, to see how they work,
Next level stuff, man.
next level stuff. And shout out to Parts Town again, to everyone over there, Tom, Jen, Liz, Maria, everyone who I met there, so super
Mm,
warm from Parts Town. They really run a great work culture.
mm,
There are companies who run a tight ship, but you know that they have to run a tight ship, and it's like it's like really tight and hard to to have fun and everything. But they run both a tight ship, and they know how to have fun, and people just love coming to work.
yep.
Um,
And they're innovative.
and they're innovative. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah,
spoke to a couple of people in the assembly line as we were out there. They were like, "Yeah, I love working here at Partstown. I love showing up, just wearing shorts every day. Just like being able to, um,
mm,
enjoy a nice, safe environment. There's snacks overflowing on the factory
right.
floor that anyone can just pick and everything. So it was just really such an amazing culture that they have over
I
there.
love it. And that's a great segue to, you mentioned, there were a couple of sessions and that you've attended, and I know we did a debrief, and you had so much to share. So what we've decided to do is over the next few days go live every day at 9 a.m. Eastern and share your notes from these sessions with everyone who was maybe not able to attend, and then really invite the community to kind of like add their knowledge to what you will be sharing, and so we can collectively again um, move this industry forward. So
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
first session was about cybersecurity.
Oh yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. Who was running that session, and what was it all about?
Sure. So the first thing, when you think about cybersecurity, you think that it's like it's some boring session where I have to do like some sort of certification and have to like they're gonna talk about like
Got to be super technical. Yeah.
highly technical terms and jargon and all of it. They're gonna talk about like socket layer security and all the way like how they encrypt and everything. But this session was actually very enriching.
Mm,
And you realize, that cybersecurity and protecting against hack attacks, because sometimes you're like, oh, cybersecurity, that only happens to like, major companies
yeah,
like,
big companies. You're
yeah,
right.
the Sonys of the world, who the North Koreans tried to like cyber attack for showing the interview right a few years back. But um, uh, cybersecurity hack attacks are actually they're like natural disasters.
Mm,
There's only a slim chance of it happening, 1% or maybe less.
right.
Of like I live out here where tornadoes sometimes happen. I'm like if you're of the mindset that tornadoes won't happen to me, that and they hit you, they can ruin
You're
your
done.
life, they can ruin your company in the sense of hack attacks. And so the prevention that you can get from it,
Mm,
it's actually pretty easy and simple. And this session that we had was more about that. So it
right.
was
You never get to value the putting putting in preventive measures until it actually hits you, right? It's like car insurance. You it's a pain to pay for it every single month, but
Exactly.
man, when you need it, you really need it, right? And without it, it's kind of a big mess. So
Totally.
you mentioned hack attacks. So like, break it down for me. So when you're saying hack attacks, what kind of attacks did you guys talk about there?
Yeah, when I first started, or when I first listened, I always thought like hack attacks are just about like these guys who are like just trying to encrypt or get into your computer, and then
Like
like
hackers or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
like you'd think that it's like but it's actually like more prevalent and easier to get into your systems
Mm.
than I thought. So these which we'll talk about later, but some of the hack attacks include stuff like when they get into your systems and your computers, they could encrypt and lock all of your data. Shut
Mm.
down your entire system, shut down your entire factory, shut down your services, and they'll demand money for them to
Right.
unencrypt and
Like
open,
ransomware.
like
Yeah.
ransomware. Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's like data for ransomware systems operate, so you can't go on with your livelihood. And then when they're in your system, because they're now doing that, you pay the ransom to them. It's now a double-edged sword, because now they have or had access to your customer data, so they've
Right.
downloaded all of that. So now they're going to ask you again, look, we're going to leak this out to
Oh my
everyone,
God.
and
Yeah.
your customer data is going to be out there. We're going to sell it on the dark web and everything, and anything, including
Especially
your
if you have credit cards on
oh my
file, or
account,
yeah,
credit
or sensitive
cards.
information if you're like
Yeah,
healthcare, or yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's
Serious stuff.
serious stuff. So it's going to be damaging, because your reputation to your customers are like, I'm never going to trust your business again with
Right.
my data. Which essentially, let's face it, if customers don't trust you, then
You're done.
you're done. You might as well just like hang up your gloves, right?
And
Sec-
a lot of a lot of companies now, after COVID, live in the cloud.
yeah,
So while cybersecurity was not big in terms of focus for companies, mid-market companies, but today we're all in the cloud,
yep,
and it's just like having an alarm system. It's as important as having an alarm system for your house. Fail to put it in, and you just basically, it's like literally opening up the door to thieves and criminals, to kind of, you're like inviting them in.
yeah. Here,
Um,
take my 85-inch TV. Help
right.
yourself. Kind of like that way, but yeah,
And there's like a stat out there that there's like a hacker attack every 39 seconds.
that's
So this
right.
is serious stuff. Like literally, but we've been on this call for like 12 minutes, right? There's been over 15 attacks since we started this call. Can you imagine
That's
the
crazy, right?
the scope of it? Norton, another stat here I was looking up online. 800,000 people get hacked every year. So
Exactly.
this,
Yeah.
right?
Imagine that. So like every year, like 1% of the Philippines gets hacked. Kind of like
Wow,
looking at it
that's
that
that's
way, right?
crazy. And who was Mitch leading the session there?
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool, because we were like, oh, it's gonna be some IT dude who's gonna talk about security and everything. But actually, it was an FBI agent who was over there. So the moment they said, Michael
Okay.
Lovernick, who is a field supervisor for the FBI,
Wow.
overseeing a team of cybersecurity experts. So the moment they said, "Oh, we have a visitor from the FBI," they started like
Hands
sitting.
up.
Man, let me bring out all my IDs and everything. I might get checked. But no, I was just kidding aside. He humorously described himself as a recovering attorney, a recovering lawyer,
Okay.
before he joined the FBI. So it was pretty cool, because the United States actually really takes cybersecurity, on a different level. So he
Yeah.
mentioned that the FBI's priorities after 9/11 was towards preventing terrorist attacks, right? But it's
Right.
now shifted now towards the prevention of cybersecurity, hacks, or cyber attacks, as they call
Yep.
them, cyber warfare. And he's talked about there's several bad players, as they call it. They label the hackers as bad players. and most of them are actually abroad. So they
Right.
talked about bad players who are existing in like North
Yeah.
Korea,
Right.
Iran, Russia, the
Right.
works, right? So
Yeah.
those are some of the things he talked about, and he did say and confirm that yes, it's true. The room where you have like all these people in computers, like on headphones, like looking into things.
Not just in the movies.
It's not just in the movies, but it's like real life thing.
Yeah.
But he oversees that. What they call the Internet Cybersecurity Center, or
Mm.
that's kind of like where all of the activities happen. So it's a 24-hour operation that is capable of responding when there
Cool.
are attacks that are reported. And of course, some of their more critical systems are constantly being monitored to
Wow.
see if there's like any anomaly as far as
Makes
that.
sense.
So,
And did he share any war stories? Like, what did you pick up from the conversation,
oh yeah,
or
this
the talk?
it was actually scary because I thought I heard everything about cyber attacks, right? But this one was actually scary, and it struck to the heart. As business people, this one was like really truly scary. So apparently, a business was infiltrated, and in
Okay.
retrospect, they looked at the infiltration as just as simple as an employee accessing a link that allowed the system to come in, and the system wasn't updated, so there was no there's the Windows was running out of date, and
Mm.
so because he accessed the link, it allowed the vulnerability to be exposed. The hacker got in, and
Mm.
then they pretended to be a member of the organization. So you'll get all these things about, oh yeah,
Like
I
he
can tell.
created literally an email, or he took an
Yeah,
employee's email.
he,
Wow.
he took somebody's email. He took the email of the chief financial officer
Oh my God.
and then created an email for himself. So he says, I'm Michael Smith. The CFO is Michael Smith, for example, and Michael Smith is like, oh my, I want you to meet John Doe. He's our new finance manager and will handle all of your invoices. So send it out to clients. So John Doe goes, yeah,
Wow.
I've been we've made some changes to our bank account. Please send it over your client invoice to the
Wow.
bank account, and then he even like went as far as the CFO saying yes, and this is correct. They agreed to that. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a Trojan horse, right? Like they're in your city already, and they're like, sending out this email and everything. So and that went on for a couple of invoice cycles until they realized that, oh my gosh,
Someone is siphoning the money.
someone's siphoning the money away, and like
Wow.
that's unable to be recovered. Um, Apparently, the bank was an American bank, to make it like and then from the American bank, it kind of like sent it abroad to a different country.
Mm.
So it was like that's one of the things that they
It's
constantly
like an
monitor.
identity theft. The hacker,
Yeah, it's an
accessed the system. He pretended to be an employee, sent a bunch of emails to customers with different bank account information, and customers literally started
yeah.
paying him invoices into his bank account. How did they pick that up? Like, how did they know like this is happening?
So they only picked it up after they noticed that customers were some of the revenue wasn't reflecting. They did like
Mm.
a retrospective of like a quarterly review on their financials. They were like, oh, why are we
Wow,
missing
it lasts for a quarter.
revenue? Yeah,
Sure.
and it's like they look at the revenue, and they're like, okay, they reached out to a client, and the client's like, oh, we paid you. In fact, we talked to John
Here's the
Doe, and
invoice.
they're
Who's
like,
John?
there's no John Doe here. And then they realized that, oh my gosh, it's they're in
Wow,
the system. And
that's scary.
it
And
was a significant amount of money that was already siphoned off of. They didn't share how much it was, but I can imagine that it was pretty significant.
that
So
was crazy. And so in this case, Mitch, what did Michael like share in terms of like tips or recommendations to fight against these attacks? Like, can we do something about it?
oh yeah, he definitely said so. So first and foremost, constantly updating your operating system is like he said that like 80% of those attacks are based on vulnerabilities in the OS that companies like
Updating the system, like what? Like if you have like a
Microsoft, iOS,
okay,
Mac
Okay.
OS. So
I,
those
I
operating systems, are
okay, I'm in trouble. I probably need to hop off and update my software right now
yeah,
because
exactly.
I've got some outdated updates.
Yeah,
Uh,
true. I mean, like when you see it come up, like sometimes you have all these spreadsheets up, right? And then you're in the
you
zone, and
ignore
you're
it.
thinking, and then it says here your computer needs to update, and you're like later, come on, just
Yeah.
restart later, and then apparently, it just gets thrown to the wayside, and it falls through the cracks, and that's where the vulnerability comes in, and it's again,
Wow.
it's double edged because now because the OS manufacturer advertised that there's a vulnerability we need to cover, the hackers are now looking for that vulnerability. So the moment Microsoft says,
Wow.
please update because we found a vulnerability in the system, the hacker's like, oh my
They,
gosh,
they-
let's scan
right. They
for it.
recognize. Right. They pick up the pattern and then try to go after it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So tip number one:
Up-
always update your software. Never again will I be ignoring my Microsoft updates. So what else?
So another tip that we need to is be very mindful of your emails. So by mindful of your emails is you have to be very careful of phishing scams and the works. And we're not just talking about the Nigerian prince who wants to
Right.
transfer gold to you, but
Right.
they're getting smarter. They're now, they're now sending things that have like, look at the email attachment. Sometimes it looks like your own organization, but they just added a letter at the end or something like that.
Mm. So always verify the from address,
Yeah, always
and
verify.
then if it's out of context or it doesn't make sense, like question it, and don't
Exactly.
click
Yeah.
on links before you verify who it's from. Okay.
Yeah, and especially for companies that have like big headcount, like 500 to 1,000, and sometimes you don't know
You don't
everyone.
know everyone.
You
Right.
get an email from supposedly somebody in accounting, and just call them and say,
Right.
"Hey, Yassine, you sent me an email about this report I'm supposed to read or something,
Or
but it
fill out.
looks a
Right.
little off. We never talked about this. What's up with that?" And you're like, "I
Right.
didn't send you that." So
Okay. Makes
just
sense.
be vigilant.
Always be wary of these finance folks.
And
Yeah.
don't
I
just
know.
ignore them
Right.
when they're asking you for
If if anything has to do with finance, has to do with legal, has to do with sharing information, always verify
yeah, correct.
before you click. So that's great. What else?
Um, change. It seems also simple. Change your passwords very often. So
Mm.
again, and make sure that your passwords are secure.
Like often? How often? Every
Well,
quarter? Every year?
no, we're
Every month?
looking about like every month. You need to change your
Wow.
passwords like
Really?
every month because again,
How do you keep up?
yeah, they'll keep up because sometimes even though passwords is a strong password is hard to encrypt until they invent quantum computing, which is a whole different discussion that'll take hours for us to cover because it's so
Hmm.
exciting. But they could also access a system that has your password, and then it'll like now there's a data leak, and now they know your password and they know everything, and they know and because you posted about your dog
Right.
TJ on Facebook, they now know that your favorite pet is TJ and whatever else.
Yeah.
Um so just make sure that you just change your password constantly, and make sure it's secure, that it has an uppercase and a lowercase letter, it's more than
Mm.
7 characters, and it has a special character
Right.
on some numbers as well.
Makes
So
sense.
that's one other thing. And then finally, for us lay people as well who are like not cyber security experts, a second layer that will make your defense seemingly impregnable is using multi-factor authentication. So
Right. Like
adding
verify through email or verify through a text message.
also an authentic
Right.
app, or like one of those things like when Salesforce, it always constantly asks you that.
Yep.
I
And it
I
saves the computer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're logging in from a different computer, same account, still it asks you. So, I mean, simple stuff, but look, it makes all the difference. It's these simple things, you know, things that are easy to do, because they're easy, they're also easy not to do, right? And
That's
that's where when stuff hits the fan, is when we ignore these simple things. um just like Jim Ron used to say, it's one apple a day keeps a doctor away. Well, what if it's true? What if it's true? Like an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It's simple to do, but yet people don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's great. And so one of the things also that we do internally, Mitch,
Mhm.
is our IT team. So we're ISO certified. We have the 27, I guess, 27001
Yeah,
certification, which is about data security and infrastructure. And one of the key practices for us to comply with the certification is to do cybersecurity education, where during onboarding, whenever someone joins our company, we basically, part of the onboarding is cybersecurity education. And then there are measures where, like for instance, no one can, we don't allow anyone to use hard drives.
yeah,
We don't, so there's also like we use workforce management software, especially if we have anyone that's working on sensitive data. That if the camera picks up that there's another person passing by, it switch off. The
yeah,
screen switches off.
yeah,
And then there's monitoring of things, but there's also, we send weekly emails. Literally, our IT team, our cybersecurity officer, sends out weekly email with tips and tricks on how to fight, these cybersecurity or these hacker attacks. And then whenever we like recognize, like literally, Rowan, someone they didn't steal his identity, but they're kind of like started WhatsApping people. I don't know how they got people's numbers.
mhm.
And they started WhatsApping employees, and they're like, "Hey, can you send me Gcash?" Gcash is a local app. It's like PayPal, and
Digital
they pose
wallet.
as Rowan, right? But the minute we recognized that, we announced it, right, and we were able to catch it. So they couldn't use our system. They went to use like personal devices. So something to also be aware. It's not just your corporate accounts,
Yeah,
but your personal devices too.
yeah, correct.
And then we blacklist a lot of addresses, right? We blacklist a lot of addresses, and we only allow people to send to specific addresses and receive emails from specific addresses, and we're always reviewing these accounts. So those are some of the things that, some of the measures that we have in place to prevent any cybersecurity attacks. But we also have insurance, right? You
Yeah,
never know when these things happen, but we also have an insurance policy, which, they do, the insurance company also do their own audits, always to kind of like keep us up to date on what's going on, and make sure that, hey, we're always following the best in class standards when it comes to data security. And then there's a lot of stuff like in network, how we set up the network. If you guys are like, if anyone listening to this show is interested in maybe going a little bit deeper on how we set up our corporate IT security, data and infrastructure, maybe we can invite our IT lead to maybe on a call, and we can do a deep dive. But Mitch, I know we've this call is coming to an end here, but anything else you want to share about cybersecurity from that session?
well, yeah. Any again, be vigilant. Just make sure that you are and your employees have the right processes. Make sure that your people are equally as vigilant, and just understanding and being aware of the threat out there will make everybody extra secure and extra vigilant. It's kind of like leaving your doors unlocked.
Right,
Um, People never do that anymore because they're aware that somebody could
right.
just open their doors and steal stuff, or even worse, right? So and that extra layer when keeping your door locked has already prevented so many robberies
Absolutely.
at your home, right? So it's just a
Same
simple.
applies to your corporate IT strategy.
Yep.
No, that's super helpful. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments below. Give Mitch a shout out here. Um, in the next episode, which is tomorrow at 9 a.m., we'll be talking about the global supply chain issues. So if you're having issues with ordering parts, getting parts in time, and procurement, I think tomorrow's session will be helpful to you. So follow me and Mitch on LinkedIn. So you don't miss out. And I'll see you tomorrow in the same place at the same time. Thank you so much, Mitch. And I'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
tomorrow.
See y'all tomorrow. Bye.
God bless. Bye bye.